Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin, this is my co-host Teddy, and today we're doing an unboxing and overview of this Gigabyte Gaming OC, as it says right here you guys, Gaming OC GTX1070Ti. Now I'll admit that I'm confused straight off the bat, because as far as I was aware, NVIDIA had instructed the board partners not to include like overclocking in the title of the graphics cards, because they were going to restrict what clock speeds they ran to. They wanted all of the 1070Ti's to be running at their default reference speed, so no pre-overclock models. However, it seems like Gigabyte didn't get the memo, or maybe they just didn't care, because this one not only has OC in the title, it's also pre-overclocked as well, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So I'm not sure what's going on there. If you guys know something I don't, let me know in the comment section down below. But as far as I was aware, they weren't supposed to be doing things like this, but here we are. So let's get right into this unboxing then. So the 1070 Ti, to me, honestly, when I heard this card was announced, I actually thought it was a joke. That's because I didn't really see the need for it. As you see here, the gap between the 1070 and the 1080 wasn't very large, so I wondered why NVIDIA was trying to fill it. Now, of course, you know, the Vega 56 obviously slots in between those two cards, you know, a bit closer to the GTX 1080, so now we know it's just, you know, meant to do that, compete with that. But considering the difference between the two wasn't exceptionally big, I thought it was kind of weird. I thought if anywhere they were going to bring out, you know, an in-between card, it would be between the 1080 and the 1080 Ti, because there is such a huge difference between those two graphics cards in terms of performance. So, open up the top here, see the accessories box, open this up. So of course this is a retail model, so if you want to buy this graphics card, this is the stuff you'll get with it. So a quick guide and standard driver CD, nothing much there. Put them down, and that's it. We can take the graphics card out. Here we are. And as we can see straight away, this is pretty much just a G1 Gaming. Looks exactly the same. I don't see that much. The backplate, I think, looks a little bit different. There's this cutout here. I don't remember that on the G1 Gaming. But more or less, it seems like the same cooler and everything that you would get on the G1 Gaming. So yeah, as I said, I wasn't sure why this existed, but, you know, well, needed to exist, but it's here now, so let's get on with it then. So as far as the CUDA cores go, this guy's coming with 2,432. Now the GTX 1080 has 2,560, and the 1070 has 1,920. So that means it's more sort of, it's closer to the GTX 1080 than it is to the GTX 1070, so that's quite interesting. Now let's talk about the clock speeds then. So in its, you know, default mode, straight out of the box, like it is now, if you go to put this in your PC, it will run at the NVIDIA reference speeds, which are 1,607 megahertz base clock and a boost clock of 1,683 megahertz. However, if you switch this into OC mode through Gigabyte software, then that will bring the base clock up to 1,632 megahertz and the boost clock up to 1,721 megahertz. As I said before, I didn't know that this was allowed. Obviously, you have to switch it into that mode. Maybe that's what Gigabyte were trying to get around, saying, you know, well, technically out of the box, it's still running at reference speed. You have to switch it into OC mode. But I don't know, considering they put it in the name as well, who knows. Now, as far as memory goes, it's the exact same as what you get on the GTX 1070, which is 8 gigabytes of GDDR5 on a 256-bit bus at 8000 megahertz. So same as the 1070, which is, slower than what you get on the GTX 1080, which is GDDR5X memory. As far as TDPs go, this one has the same as the 1080, 180 watt. That's a bit higher than the 150 watt TDP you get with the GTX 1070. So as I said before, it's pretty close to a GTX 1080, a lot closer to the 1080 than it is to a 1070. Now, as far as the cooler itself goes, let's go over this. So as I said before, this is pretty much like a G1 Gaming, so that means it comes with the Windforce 3X cooler, which has existed since like Queen Victoria. It's just this design, the Windforce triple fan design. It is just such an old design. Obviously, they've made updates. I'm not bashing Gigabyte here, but they've stuck with it for such a long time. So yeah, that is quite interesting. It's coming with their unique fan blade design, which they say improves the airflow by 23% over a more traditional design. As far as heat pipes go, you're seeing two really decent sized composite heat pipes in there. They say that increases the cooling capacity by 29%. And these are direct touch heat pipes, so they will directly touch the GPU. Now it has their 3D active fans, which means they'll turn off if the temps aren't that high. That's good. Keeps the fan noise down, obviously. That's nice. And has an RGB indicator on the side to let you know when they're off. Well, beside that, you have the Gigabyte logo. That's also RGB, so that'll light up. For those people that want RGB, I suppose there's a little bit in there for you. Nice big backplate there, metal backplate. That's always good to see. It has their ultra durable VGA. This is good. So 6+2 power phases and Tinex grade chokes. That will help a little bit once it comes to overclocking. And if we go up the top there, we see it just comes with an 8-pin power connector. That's pretty standard, same as the 1080 and the 1070, I believe. And round to I/O, we get a triple DisplayPort 1.4, DVI-D up the top there, and HDMI, I believe that's HDMI 2.0B from memory. So all very good there. All pretty standard, pretty much like we would see on the G1 Gaming GTX 1080. Which brings us now to what I will be testing this against. Because that's a good, this is something I wondered for a while. What would I actually test this graphics card against? Should I put it up against the 1080? Could have done. But I think a lot of people already done that. And a lot of people also tested it against the Vega 56, which is mainly why this exists, to compete with the Vega 56. But I had a question, which was, would it be better to buy a more standard model of 1070 Ti, like this one, or would you be better off buying a really good model of GTX 1070? So that's what I've decided to do. And I've talked to Playtech, and they said that they've given me permission to overclock both this graphics card and the top model, good model, GTX 1070, which is something I'm usually not allowed to do because these are borrowed graphics cards, as I'm sure you guys can understand. So that's cool. So that means I'll be doing an overclock test between the GTX 1070 Ti, this Gaming OC Gigabyte card, and a top, good model I should say, because top is a bit controversial, a good model of GTX 1070. So that will be really fun. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Which do you think will win? Do you think the 1070 Ti will absolutely run away with it because of the extra CUDA cores? Or do you think a really good model of GTX 1070 that can overclock really high will be able to beat it? Personally, I just think the 1070 Ti will still win. At the end of the day, it's just a beefier chip in it. So no matter what we do clock speed wise, even if we get the overclocks really high on the 1070, I still think this 1070 Ti will win. But hey, that is just my opinion. As always, let me know in the comment section down below. Now, I thank you all for watching this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already, and like the video. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.